Hello, everybody, and welcome back again to the Wildcard Rewind. We are going to be having a little look at all the action this week from Week 10. You got me, Mags, at Hot Seat Mags on Twitter. We got Paul here, at Paul_picking. So much to get to, so much to talk about in Week 10. Let's get started right now.
I just want to rewind to when we were young at heart. Back to all those good times. Take me back to the start.
Yes, gotta love that on a Monday, right? Absolutely love it. And by the way, bit inside tip here. Paul Pickens in charge of the controls here. He absolutely nailed that intro music, hitting that button perfectly in time. So small round of applause for Paul Pickens there. Absolutely crushed it. And we're going to get into our predictions now. Unfortunately, Hannah not here with us at the moment. So, mum's away and the boys will play. So we'll try and behave ourselves, Paul. We'll try and stick to time if we can. So we're going to get right into it. We're going to look at our predictions from last week. We'll start it off with Hannah's predictions and how she did. So she kicked us off. She had the Dolphins versus the Browns game. She thought Dolphins were going to win. That was right. They managed to win 39-17. Really convincing. She thought Myles Garrett would get a sack. He didn't. Nobody got Tua down. Nobody sacked Tua, which is, good news for Tua considering the hits he's taken this year. So I enjoyed the game. I thought it was a good game. Paul, what do you think of it?
Another day in the office for the Dolphins, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
It didn't seem difficult. Seemed easy. Tua doing what Tua does. MVP.
He has been. Well, he's
Don't say it too loud. We're going to say that quiet because
Yeah, they have won every game.
The current MVPs on back-to-back losses. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, yeah, he'll probably still win it though, right? Tua.
Aaron Rodgers.
So Tua is the real deal, right? That's what I put in my notes. He's the real deal. They've won every single game that he's played the entire game, right? They've only lost whenever he's either not been on the field or he's been carted off the field. I mean, just some lovely things. Like, that lovely pump fake, and the defender sold it like flying by him, threw the little touchdown to Alex Ingold, and then threw a peach of a pass to Sherfield as well. He was going into this week the highest rated, QB in the league on quarterback rating, and I don't see how anyone would have overtaken him based on this week's performance. And the only thing I want to say about the Dolphins is, imagine how frightening they're going to be if they get a good running back, because their run game at the minute is pretty good, and they've got Raheem Mostert and they've got Jeff Wilson, and they're not really what you would call, high level running backs. I mean, they're okay. You'd be happy enough if they were your backup running back, I suppose. But imagine they go out and get like a Bijan Robinson or someone like that, like next year. What are they going to be like? So I'm loving what I'm seeing, from the Dolphins. So yeah, good for them. Another win in the books. And Hannah managed to get one right there. And her second game was the Broncos against the Titans. I mean, not the best game in the world. She thought the Titans were going to win, which, they did. They squeaked out win. And she thought that the Titans would end up with more rushing yards than passing yards. Not quite for that. Obviously, Ryan Tannehill coming back did not quite help that. And then the Titans couldn't really get the run game going either. None of the teams could really get anything going, to be honest. What did you make of that game, Paul?
I think if Hannah would have known Ryan Tannehill was starting, I think she may have decided differently against what she'd have gone for, whether it was rushing or receiving. But it was nice to see Tannehill back.
Yeah,
Malik Willis is not great. Even I think he came on for a fumble in this game as well. If I'm correct, he came on and it was an awful fumble, and you were just there like, you are not good. One of your biggest things coming out of college was your rushing ability. And even if they bring you on for a Taysom Hill style rush play, he still doesn't do that well. And I'm just like, you're just not going to make this. But
no.
How bad are the Broncos?
Awful.
You know what I mean? We speak every week and we're like, the Raiders, big flop. The Chargers, big flop. The Colts, big flop. Broncos are in that conversation. They're just they just can't get anything going. And mate, I kind of have to agree with what you're saying with like the Dolphins. If they had a good running back, you know, they just couldn't. What did they have? 24, 48, 57 rushing yards between the three running backs, and that's Gordon, Murray, and Chase Edmonds. And they had 18 rushing attempts. And you're like, that's just, you know, you've got a QB that's not doing it through the air. You've got running backs that are not doing it on the ground. And you just, everything about this setup and everything is just, it just looks awful, man. Just awful. Really bad.
It's not good. I was fully expecting us to be talking about Nathaniel Hackett being fired today, to be honest. I'm surprised he's still
walking the plank, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I to be honest, I think he already got that job because they were trying to lure Aaron Rodgers to Denver, right? He's Aaron Rodgers' old offensive coordinator. You thought they brought in Hackett because he's got a good relationship with Rodgers to try and get that trade done. Obviously, that didn't end up happening. maybe a good thing for them anyway, but
maybe Rodgers is something that we couldn't see.
Probably, maybe, because everyone was so excited for Cortland Sutton. Man, Jerry Jeudy as well. Can we talk about Jerry Jeudy? That guy is so unlucky. He seems to be a guy. Whenever I look at him play, it's like he could be something if they got him more involved. But he just keeps getting injured, keeps getting hurt. He just seems to be one of those unlucky guys that he might end up going the way of like a Paris Campbell, right? Who started off a lot of hype, everyone excited, and just never really amounted to anything, sadly. So. Yeah, Hackett, I think, is a mess. I think the head office seems to be a mess there as well. It's a long road back for the Broncos team, and who knows what's going to happen with them. But not a good time to be a Broncos fan. So let's move along from the. Oh, by the way, Titans as well. Titans squeaking out another win. You know, good for them. They seem to be quite good at that, just kind of squeezing out these wins. You're like, how did they do that? But yeah, they ended up with it. And let's go on to your huh?
They're 6-3.
I know. How'd that happen?
You know what I mean? They've got the same record as the Bills.
Wow.
Let that sink in.
Yeah.
The Titans are sat on 6-3, which is I think the Bills are 6-2 or they're 6-3. But I know they're 6-3, so they're exactly the same as the Bills.
Crazy.
And the Bills are a team we all spoke about going. They're going to go win the Super Bowl, and the Titans are a team that you're going. They're not going to win anything.
Yeah.
And somehow they're both sat with the same record.
They did this last year as well, though, right? They were the top seeds in their division last year. I don't know how they do it. Like, some odd magic going on there in Tennessee. But yeah, they squeeze out another win. Like, good for them. And that's without Derrick Henry running through them as well. So yeah, they've obviously got some kind of secret sauce over there. I don't know what they're doing in Tennessee, but yeah, they keep winning. I don't expect them to make a playoff run or anything, but they might actually squeak in. And speaking of teams that probably aren't going to make playoff runs, Paul, we got your first game, which is the Saints against the Steelers. So you went for a Saints win, which, perfectly reasonable, to be honest. And you thought that Kenny Pickett would end up with over 1.5 interceptions. Neither of those happened. I was thinking you were going to get 2 out of 2 there, to be honest, last week, Paul. What happened in this game?
TJ Watt is back.
Yeah.
Okay. We said it when he got injured. One thing that they're going to lose is his presence just on that field and what he brought out of everyone. And then all of a sudden he's back and they're winning a game, and you're just there like he's exactly what we said he was. He's this presence. Yeah, he didn't set the world alight. He didn't, break Andy Dalton, which somebody needs to. He didn't do that, but it's just his presence on the field just changes that whole defense, And Kenny Pickett not throwing interceptions, mate. It's his second game as an NFL quarterback where he hasn't had an interception.
Really?
No, you let me down there, Kenny. Come on, mate. stick to what you know, okay? Throwing it to the opposition. All in all, this was a very, very hard watch.
Yeah.
It just felt very meh. It was, nothing looked great from either team. I think the New Orleans Saints need to finish this Andy Dalton experiment that they've got going on. I don't know what they're hoping to achieve from it. I don't know. I was looking at them and I'm just like, this is just not working. Swap it around. But I think the Saints are in a mess at the moment, to be honest, mate. You got Michael Thomas on IR again. They need to get rid of him.
He's gone. The second his contract is done, he is gone.
Oh man, I don't think he'll play in the NFL again, to be honest.
Ooh,
you know what I mean? He came back and he looked fire, and everyone was there like, yes, this is the Mike Thomas that we know. And then all of a sudden, he just fizzled out again. There was no real major injury that they've gone, oh yeah, I don't know what's happened. I genuinely don't know what's gone on. I don't, whereas you've seen people go into IR for season-ending injuries. Oh, they've torn their ACL and they've torn this or they've broke this, they've done that. There was nothing about Michael Thomas, and it was like, yeah, he's on the injury report. Yeah. Oh, we're going to put him on IR. Oh, okay. Well, that escalated. Like, what's going on? I don't know.
Do you know that he's going to miss more time for a sore toe than Brian Robinson missed for getting shot?
Wow, does that sum up the NFL in one go? You know what I mean? He's got turf, so he's on season-ending IR.
Yeah,
the leg, and I'm playing.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy that Michael. So you might be right. He might never play again. You never know.
But I think another thing that let the Saints down was their rushing game. They had 29 rushing yards in a game. You've got Alvin Kamara. How are you only getting 29 rushing yards? Is that they're not calling the right plays? Is that the O-line didn't create gaps or what? I don't think it is the O-line, because I think Alvin Kamara is the type of player that will find gaps, But that just wasn't good for me. But what was really good is Mike Tomlin, the head coach of the Steelers, has now beaten every team in the NFL. The only team he hasn't beaten is the Pittsburgh Steelers.
That's cool.
And I think that is a great thing to have on your CV. Beating every team in the NFL.
Yeah, that is. I don't know if any other coaches done that. I mean, Andy Reid probably, Bill Belichick probably, right? Those guys. But yeah, that's a great tick on the list.
Who's Andy Reid?
Andy Reid, this new guy, is pretty good.
Oh, he seems like a nobody, to be honest, mate.
He's almost as good as Jeff Saturday.
Almost 100% win rate. Spoiler alert. But so Max, we'll get into your first game. You had the Lions versus the Bears. You went for a Bears win. How wrong you were.
Man.
How dare you doubt the Lions that you praise so much?
Oh, we'll talk about how much I doubted them later, actually.
The Lions won 31-30. And St. Brown to have the most receptions for the Lions, which was correct. He had himself quite a day.
Yeah, he did.
What do you make of this one? Great game, by the way.
This is another brilliant Lions game, right? I love watching the Lions. I was delighted when I had to watch them last week. They're just always in great games. But I mean, this is another one where I was like, wow, Justin Fields is getting pretty good, right? Obviously it's not hard to look great against the Lions, but Justin Fields had another great day. He was scrambling really well. And I really liked how, he's been slowly brought along. They've allowed him to, open up the playbook piece by piece by piece. And now you're seeing Justin Fields really benefit from that. So I thought it was nice to see him playing well again. The Lions slowly again, DeAndre Swift, there's something odd going on there. Every time he has the ball low, it looks like you're like, wow, he is really, really good player. But he's just not quite getting on the ball enough for them to really succeed. But I got to really talk about a player, maybe fast becoming one of my favorite defensive players in the NFL, and that's Aiden Hutchinson. That guy is so clever. He did it last week, or was it 2 weeks ago? I can't remember. I think it was last week against Aaron Rodgers, when he noticed that the offensive lineman had kind of pulled off and he took a few steps back. It was Hannah's hit rewind moment of the week, and he got the interception. He did the same thing this week it was Hutchinson instinctively, pulled back a little bit because whoever was playing tight end for the Bears, I don't know if it was Cole Kmet, I don't know who it might have been, but Cole Kmet kind of let Hutchinson get past him. He was like, "Oh, that was too easy," and he thought, "Right, that ball must be going to him," so he stepped back. He's very smart. So instead of just going like rush, 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 like a lot of players might do, he's watching the whole game and he's like pulling things back and surveying the whole thing. Just really, really clever player and really becoming one of my favorite players to watch on that Lions team. And yeah, just a really good performance. I said earlier, I was like, do you know how much I doubted them? On my notes, which I do kind of watch in Red Zone, I typed in my notes, I'm not even nervous. The Lions will lose by 2 because they always do. That's exactly what I typed. But they did. They held on. And you know what? Good for them. I'll happily take the loss in point to see the Lions, get a win. I'm happy for them. And you know what? The more I think about it, I probably shouldn't have picked the team I called the worst team in the NFL at the start of the season to win a game, right? That's probably on me. So yeah, shouldn't have done that. But good for the Lions. Another great performance for them. And good for Dan Campbell. I like Dan Campbell. People talking about, is his job safe? Just, never fire that guy. Keep him around. He seems like a good guy. And yeah, that team's definitely going places. Might not show all on paper, but they're going places, I think. Paul, you had the Colts against the Raiders. This is a weird game, right? You thought the Raiders would win. They lost 25-20 to the mighty Jeff Saturday. I don't even know if his name's actually Jeff. I've been calling him Jeff. I think it might be. But you did think that Devontae Adams would get over 7.5 receptions. He did. He had 9 receptions. Not quite enough to get the win, but Adams had a good game. What do you think of the game?
The Raiders can't even beat the tanking Colts, okay? You shouldn't have had a drink then. You shouldn't have had a drink then. Oh, no. That would have been amazing if you'd have just spat it out all over your computer. But they can't. The Colts were quite clearly tanking, okay? They quite clearly not that bothered about this season. I'm surprised that they brought Jonathan Taylor back and used him as much as they did. You know what I mean? That you'd have thought that they'd have just fizzled him out as such,
Mm-hmm.
They then hired a high school janitor to come in and take over this team. And you're convinced this team are going for it. They're going for this 101. Okay. They want to beat the Texans out of this one spot, and they want it. And then the Raiders went, no. No, you're too good for us, okay? And it was just the Colts actually looked half decent. And I don't know if it was Matt Ryan trying to prove a point. I don't know if it was Jeff Saturday trying to silence the haters and all the pundits that are just basically saying, who are you? I don't know what it was, but they went out there and they played half decent. They played half decent. But did you see the press conference with Derek Carr?
What was that about? Yeah.
He got like really emotional in it and stuff like that. So here's a question for you. Do you think that Derek Carr knows his days are numbered at the Raiders?
I think Derek Carr thought the Raiders were going to win a Super Bowl this year. I genuinely do, because he thought I've got the best wide receiver in the NFL. He's thinking, my old teammate, we're going to link up. We got to the playoffs last year. We did really well. We're a better team this year. Max Crosby's better. I'm better. Devontae Adams is better. I don't know what's happened. It's just, it's like they only have 2, maybe 3. They've got 3 good players, and everyone else is really, really, really bad. Like, they've got Adams, who has like Devontae Adams. They've got Max Crosby, who is an absolute beast. And they got Josh Jacobs, who's absolutely lighting it up. But they're still losing every game. So I think he's just really, this year has just gone about as far away from his plan as he thought. I don't think he's quite thinking he's going to be replaced yet, but he probably should be thinking that pretty soon.
But they've put Renfro on IR. They've got Darren Waller on IR.
Yeah.
They're unable to beat the absolutely atrocious Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah.
And they're currently sat with the second pick in the draft.
Oh, they're that bad? I didn't realize they had the second pick.
So,
I mean, they're going to need the Texans to win some games, which is not going to happen.
Well, that's it. So it's between them and I think one win by the Texans, and they're on the same sort of record. I think the Texans would be more because the Texans have got a draw, haven't they?
Yeah, they do.
So I think they're 1-6-1 or something, and
yeah.
I just had it up. Yeah, so the Texans are 1-7-1, and the Raiders are 2-7. So one win by the Texans, and all of a sudden, that's flipped. And I just kind of get the feeling that if they've got the number 2 pick in the draft, are they? Thanks, Derek. You've done really well for us. Let's bring in new big name QB. I don't know. Yeah. I just kind of got that feeling from that press conference. That press conference spoke. It was quite what's the word I'm looking for? It spoke to me, and I was like, I kind of get the feeling that you know something. I don't know, but
I think Derek Carr's good enough to play for someone else anyway. He'll definitely get a job in the NFL somewhere. If it's not at the Raiders, he'll go. But they don't have to sign a massive new contract.
I don't know. Probably.
I don't remember.
I think they did extend it, but you know what these clubs are like, mate. They'll trade him and get rid of all of that, and but yeah, let's move on. Mags, your second game is the Cowboys versus the Packers. You went for a Cowboys win. I would have done exactly the same. And you got it wrong. They lost 31-28. And Parsons to get over 1.5 sacks, which, again, I'd have backed you because Aaron Rodgers spends most of his time on his arse at the moment, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And you got that one wrong as well. You got none. So, what did you make of Super Bowl heading Green Bay Packers beating the Cowboys?
I mean, can we start this off by saying Mike McCarthy's a dumbass? Is that how I'm coming in hot on this one, right? Mike McCarthy's an absolute dumbass. What was he doing? Like, in overtime, they were 4th and 4. The Packers, who had been not really like tearing it up the whole game, he thought, kick the field goal, trust your defense to sort it out. But he's going for it on 4th and 4. No, like, Mike McCarthy's lost his team this game here just with, weird play calling there. So overall, though, this was kind of the tale of two receivers here. This was a CeeDee Lamb show. I couldn't believe this on the commentary. They were saying this is the first game that CeeDee Lamb has ever had that's over 100 yards. Can you believe that?
Wow.
I was sure there must have been one other. But yeah, he got 150 yards in this one, which is absolutely fantastic. But he wasn't even the star receiver of this. It was Christian Watson, right? The guy I put my stamp on Christian Watson pre-draft. I was like, this is my guy coming in, and then he's been absolute crap. But I do have to say a small thank you to Matthew Stafford and his little boo-boo, because I actually ended up having to sit Matthew Stafford in the Scott Fish Bowl, and I had to start Christian Watson in the Scott Fish Bowl this week. Can you believe that luck? That's absolutely fantastic. So I was delighted to see Christian Watson doing well, but I was also like, this is killing me for my pick on the show. So it was kind of torn a little bit. But
sorry,
yes, Paul, your hands up.
I just want to say I've looked at CeeDee Lamb's stats, and he has he went 150 yard, but he's got 1, 2, 3 over 100 last season, and 1, 2 the season before.
I thought that was a stupid thing to say, but they were saying on commentary, like, maybe they were saying this year,
150.
Maybe they were saying this season he's not been over 100, which would make sense.
This season he hasn't, but he has done it before. Just so that people don't message in and go, "Oh, are you lying?" He did have over 100 yards. So sorry.
Yeah. I did think that one sounded strange, but yeah, it must have been this season they were talking about. But yeah, some huge individual performances for the Packers, like Christian Watson, like Rudy Ford got himself 2 interceptions, I did like what the Packers were doing. They were keeping it short, they were keeping it simple, and then every now and again they would bomb it over the top to Watson, which was really nice. And Micah Parsons, he's so good that they were kind of using him in different places, so he wasn't right up at the line of scrimmage attacking Aaron Rodgers a lot. He was kind of prepared for Jones or Dillon who were coming through, and he was more concerned with stopping them than getting to Aaron Rodgers, which again might have been a mistake on Mike McCarthy and on the Cowboys. And I mean, Rodgers has been sacked time and time again this year. You'd think just get Micah Parsons at him, but they didn't do that. And then there was just a calamity of errors, and then a bit of luck on the Packers side at the end. Aaron Jones had the ball knocked out of his hands. He fell over and he rolled, and the ball bounced right back into his hands as he was falling. That was quite lucky. Then you had Jalen Tolbert. I mean, first time we've seen him this year. He decides that he's going to line up on the wrong side of the field, pretty much. What an idiot. Offside by about 5 yards. Not even looking
the last time. And it's the last time you're going to see him.
Not even looking the right way. What is he doing? That was, very strange from Jalen Tolbert. Then the Cowboys get a holding penalty on them to bring it back to 4th and 4. And then Mike McCarthy decides he's going to go for it on 4th and 4 instead of kicking the easier field goal. Yeah, you can't make that many mistakes in the NFL and expect to win. So Packers got it done. I didn't get the point. It was an okay game, though. I was annoyed. I can only imagine if I was a Cowboys fan how annoyed I would be. So I imagine there's some very angry Cowboys fans out there with Mike McCarthy. But, he's not going anywhere because he's Jerry Jones's yes man. So he's going nowhere for the time being anywhere. And now, Paul, we're going on to something. I've been waiting all show to talk about this. It's the game of the week. It's the game of the year. It is the Vikings against the Bills, obviously. Paul, what did you make of this game? It was absolutely incredible.
Oh, man. I know we were messaging each other yesterday, and we always have a discussion on a Monday when it's sort of like, what's going to be our game of the week? And I think you messaged us, and I don't think the game had finished when you messaged, and you were like, this is quite clearly game of the week.
Yeah.
And no argument here, okay? What an absolutely phenomenal game. What a finish. Okay?
Amazing.
What a finish to this game. You know what I mean? But I know you've got that in your notes, so I'll let you talk about the finish. So I would talk about my favorite bit where I genuinely thought the Vikings had messed it all up. I was watching this, and there was a minute 10 on the clock in the end of the second quarter. I think it was something like that, wasn't there? Or like about a minute left. And the Vikings got to 3rd and 1, and they tried a pass to Justin Jefferson and incomplete. And then they were at 4th and 1, and then they tried a pass to Osborne, wasn't it? And that one was incomplete.
Yeah.
And it was a turnover of downs. And I was there like, what have you just done? You know what I mean? You've given Josh Allen the ball back with good field position. And then Josh Allen and the Bills do exactly what they can do. And he goes on a 26-yard rush. Then he throws it to Stephon Diggs. Then he throws it to Gabe Davis. Then he throws it to Stephon Diggs. Then he throws it to Gabe Davis. Touchdown. Thank you very much. And all of a sudden, you're going in at halftime going, we were 17-10 down with a yard to get.
Yeah.
And we've got one of the best running backs in the league.
Yeah.
Stand there, look back, Dalvin, run really quick, okay? You run really quick. I'm going to give you this ball. You've got 2 attempts to get this yard. Even if you get half a yard on the first one, you know what I mean? You'd back your running back to get that. Or otherwise, you try maybe put him and Madison in and maybe try a QB sneak, or they think Dalvin Cook's going to run it and you get Madison to run it, or anything. And you try to throw it twice. And I was like, ugh. And I really, honestly, at that point, I thought, well, the Vikings had a good go. I genuinely thought they'd had a good go and they've done it. And I don't know what I don't know if they played Eminem Lose Yourself at halftime and they all just sort of like put their hoods up and just, and got into the groove and just went, let's go play some ball,
Yeah.
And they came out and they were just like, mate, they were amazing. Okay, Justin Jefferson. Even if I know I've seen it for fantasy where he hasn't had games that were like, oh, you know what I mean? It wasn't a great game for him. Oh, he's a bit, but this Justin Jefferson is one of the best, if not the best, wide receiver in the NFL. And not only with his amazing like one-handed catch, his first touchdown catch.
Yeah.
It was, you know what I mean? It was just like, it was, oh, thanks very much. Hang on, you had arms all over you and you were still, you took it like there was nobody there. It was just unbelievable. And then Stephon Diggs went, yeah, I'm going to get into this, and had himself a one-handed catch as well. And you were like, this is, where do I look? Where do I look? There's so much going on. Where do I look? And even Patrick Peterson went, well, if everyone else is going to have a day about themselves, I'm going to go and do it as well. If you're catching balls and you're catching balls, I'm going to catch some balls. Josh, throw it to me. Thank you very much. So, Patrick Peterson had his days. And, oh, mate, absolutely phenomenal game. Absolutely phenomenal game. But 2 questions for you.
Okay.
Question 1, the Bills are now back-to-back losses. Jets and Vikings.
Yeah.
What do you think this does to the team morale? This was a team that most people were going, who's going to the Super Bowl? Bills. Who's going to Bills? Who's going to the Super Bowl? Bills? Who's going to Bills? A lot of people were backing the Bills. And they're now back-to-back losses, and that could be a big effect,
Yeah.
And do you now think that the Vikings are actually somebody that we should be talking about as a Super Bowl contender?
The Bills, I wouldn't be too worried if I was a Bills fan. There's like that team is still just so good. They're still going to make the playoffs, and then once they're in the playoffs, I mean, good luck beating them. You've seen what the Vikings had to do to beat them. We've seen what all teams have to do to beat them. You have to knock them out, right? They're not going away with a whimper. You have to. You really have to push them right to the bitter end. So I wouldn't be too worried if I was a Bills fan. I mean, you could be really stereotypical and be like, this loss will galvanize them, but it's definitely going to hurt them. I think they'll be hurting after this one. And it'll take another win to get them back on track, I think. As for the Vikings, how can you not see them as Super Bowl contenders now? They're filled with so many weapons. They've got a great record. I don't see them getting to the Super Bowl, but I mean, they've been really savvy with trading for people like TJ Hawkinson, who's come in and made a really big impact right away. They've got Justin Jefferson. They've got Mr. Reliable Kirk Cousins, Dalvin Cook, all these guys, and guys like Eric Kendricks. They're a really, really good team. They should be in with a shot. They're going to comfortably make the playoffs. They might even, get to a championship game, maybe. Who knows? It's you got to consider them. They're playing too well not to be considered. I'd be shocked if they won it though. Yeah.
Oh, mate, I'm not saying that they're a team that could win it, but I'm definitely thinking they're a team that, I don't think many people were talking about the Vikings at the start of the season.
No.
They're a team that I'm actually watching and thinking, And mate, I know you say that you're not going to worry about the Bills and you shouldn't worry too much, but that loss to the Jets was a tough one to take.
Mm-hmm.
And then
that's true.
They were 14 points up in this game. And
that's true. Don't
get me wrong, the ending was a bit madness and whatnot. I
mean, I'm more than happy if they keep sliding and the Chiefs don't have to play them in the AFC Championship game. That'll do me just fine.
It's always about the Chiefs, isn't it?
It is. So let's we just skip over this game of the week so we can get to the Chiefs Jag game, Paul. Right? That's what the fans really want to hear about, right?
So I've just looked. The Bills have got the Browns next week, and
that'll be interesting.
So I think that's a lot bigger of a game than they thought it could be.
Yeah, if they end up being 6-4, then
is Deshaun Watson back now, or is he back week 12?
No, Deshaun Watson.
Voldemort.
This is Voldemort. His first game back, right? And tell me if this is on purpose or not, because I think it's 100% on purpose.
Oh, yeah.
His first game's back is against the Texans. They've done that on purpose, 100%.
Definitely, 1,000,000%.
Yeah,
1,000,000%. You can't even get 1,000,000%. There's nothing more than 100%.
But it's a million.
But
yeah,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And then this, I think for this game, I'm thinking the same sort of things for you. Like, I was really interested to see, there was a lot of hype about Josh Allen's elbow. And it's like, what's up with this elbow? Is it going to show like Ried something to the head? I don't think it really did. He continued to throw the ball, with the same kind of pace that he always did. So that wasn't really missing. And he continued to rush the ball. I mean, he's so good at rushing the football. And it's very different to like a Lamar Jackson or a Justin Fields. It's like a tank running at you. Like, he's so big and he's so strong. But I mean, maybe I am a bit worried actually about Josh Allen, if anyone, because we've said this now 3 weeks in a row. He's trying to do too much. He's forcing the ball where the ball doesn't belong. And even he said that in his post-match interview. He was like, it was my bad. I was trying to force it. I was throwing the ball like in too tight a space. That is 4 red zone interceptions in the last 2 weeks for Josh Allen, which, that's why you lose games. He's just trying to do too much, and he doesn't need to. We talked about Stephon Diggs. You don't need to try and force the ball when you have Stephon Diggs. He will get it eventually if you take your time. You've got Gabe Davis, who's a pretty decent receiver. He's got some good running backs as well. Like, there are people there to catch the ball for him, and he's still trying to force it. Even whenever, like, he lost the ball and he was trying to punch the ball out, and he ended up, like, punching the ground and almost, like, separating his shoulder because he punched the ground. So what are you doing, man? Like, you have to realize, like, your team wants you to stay protected. The NFL and the officials certainly want you to stay protected. The only one who doesn't seem to care about how hurt Josh Allen gets is Josh Allen. So I think he needs to, protect himself a little bit more and slow everything down a little bit, because he's trying to do a bit too much. And, that ending sequence, we talked about it earlier, that was amazing. I mean, you had Kirk Cousins tripping over his own offensive lineman. You had Justin Jefferson thinking he scored a touchdown, blowing kisses to the fans, and then he didn't, and they were blowing kisses back. Brilliant. Dalvin Cook dropping an easy score. Kirk Cousins didn't make the sneak, and you're right. You're like, oh, well, that's it. That's over. And then there's a fumble. Eric Kendricks off the ball. Scott Hansen on Red Zone said in the third quarter, the percentage chance for the Vikings to win was at 2%. And then it went all the way up to 70% whenever they were on the 1 yard line. And then they were stopped and it went all the way down to 1%. And then they scored and went all the way up to 78%, all within like a minute of play time. From 2 to 70 to 1 to 78. And it's just, what an ending. But there were still 41 seconds left. And I was like, I'm putting my money on Josh Allen. 41 seconds, that's a lifetime. And they marched up, they scored a field goal. I thought, well, that'll be it. They'll win. And they did. They marched forward. And then Patrick Peterson comes in and ruins the day for Josh Allen. It was just written. I was just like, that's what's going to happen. They'll just go up and score. And Patrick Peterson, in he comes. And just, that's it. That's all she wrote. Amazing work for the Vikings. And I had a question for you as well. We kind of touched on it, but let's see if we can get a definitive answer, because you kind of went maybe for this, right? So Justin Jefferson, right? Undeniably, dynasty, fantasy football, wide receiver 1, right? Is he NFL wide receiver 1? And the only way I think you can really answer this is, right, your team, the Cardinals, they go to the Super Bowl. Before the game, you get to pick 1 wide receiver to join your team. Is it Justin Jefferson? Yes or no?
Why have you done this to me? Yeah. We literally have one of the best wide receivers in Nuke Hopkins there. And you're like, oh, you get to pick one. And somehow I should sit here and go, no, taking Nuke. But I'm like, it's Justin Jefferson, baby. Okay? It's Justin Jefferson. But
he would. It's hard for me, right? I'm like, ooh.
But
yeah,
if I could pick Nuke Hopkins, I'm sticking with my man. Call me
You
a
would
homer.
take DeAndre Hopkins? No.
Take Nuke, mate. It's do you know what?
He's very good.
He's done it,
Yeah.
and I think that's what edges it for me. Is if you were in the Super Bowl, I'm not talking like season on. I'm talking Super Bowl game now.
Yeah. Okay.
You want somebody that's going to be quite level-headed and just he's. I'm not saying he's been to Super Bowls and won Super Bowls. I mean, he's got so much experience in playing in high-pressure games, and big moments. He's caught a Hail Mary against the Bills last year. In three-man coverage. So if we're going up against the Bills, give me Nuke. Who would you take? Travis Kelce?
I mean, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, right? I mean, that guy is amazing, right? I don't know. I think it would depend. For me, it's between, I think, 3. I would be delighted with Justin Jefferson, obviously. But then Tyreek Hill and Cooper Kupp, they have literally done it at the Super Bowl as well. So that'll be pretty big. I think it would be Tyreek Hill for me still. But Justin Jefferson's definitely in the conversation, right? I know you're going to be like, that's a homer pick. He's not on the Chiefs anymore. Give me a break.
Hey, I'm just saying, I'm not going to say homer. I'm just picking Nuke. I'm just picking Nuke over everyone. That's the most homer pick ever.
But yeah, he's a great player, though. And that's our game of the week. Let's have a look now at the prediction scoreboard and see how we are doing. So, Paul, you managed to get 1 right this week. That puts you on 18 in total. Hannah, she managed to get 2 right. She's in second place in 27, and I'm in first on 27. So that's great.
How can no. Join first.
No. I'm first. Hannah's second place on 27, and Mags 1 on 27. So let's move on.
Okay.
Let's go to the. No, well done, Hannah. We're joint first, or Paul's last, as we might say. So if we go on to our hit rewind moment of the week, and Paul, yours was a great one. We kind of talked about him earlier. It's Justin Fields, right? Tell us what you loved about him.
The play didn't go to plan.
Yeah.
But it was what I loved about his mentality and everything like that. He was 4th and 8, a minute on the clock, and he had to go for it. He had to go for it.
Yeah.
And he had nothing on, so he went to rush. He avoided the first tackle. And then another guy came in. He avoided that tackle where the first tackler got up and went at him again, and he avoided that tackle.
Yeah.
And whilst backpedaling, then 3 were through, and he just sort of went, "I'm not going to win this." And still, they were running back with him, and he was still on his feet even after they blew the whistle. I honestly thought they were going to throw a flag and go roughing the pass because the whistle had gone.
Yeah.
And then they threw him on the ground, and I thought they were going to go, "Whoa, no, you know what I mean? You didn't need to do that unsportsmanlike conduct or whatever, and they'd have got the first down." But it was just his pure determination. He just not at any point. The only point he gave up was when 3 of them threw him on the ground.
Yeah.
Apart from that, he stayed on his feet and he kept trying to go forward. And that to me is a guy that wants more. He wants to be there, and he's trying to play for his position there. It's just a shame he can't throw the ball.
Yeah, he's getting better at throwing it, right? He's got some more. Cole Kmet coming along quite nicely, which is good for him too, right? He's had a few big touchdown games. Yeah, so he's getting there. He's getting there.
Let's not ruin his streak. I've just picked him up in a league.
Ooh, nice. He's been on my bench for every league as well, and I just haven't played him. But now, of course, he's starting to score. So yeah, we'll try and fix that. Mine was just, we don't have to spend too long on it, right? It was that Justin Jefferson catch. I mean, that's catch of the season, right? Just one hand, up you go, in between the defender, like clutch moment as well. Like just, all hail Justin Jefferson, right? That was absolutely unbelievable. So we don't have to spend too much time on that. If you've not seen it, I mean, where have you been? Go find it. Absolutely brilliant. So let's move on. Topic 4 is our rapid recap. It's the best of the rest from the week. And, I was obviously watching the Chiefs play the Jags. And, I mean, no one's done this, but the Chiefs made the Jags just look pretty ordinary. Absolutely, crushed them. It was a great performance from Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes, over 300 yards yet again. And the Jags tried bits and pieces like cheeky onside kicks at the start. And yeah, they just couldn't deal with Patrick Mahomes. They tried to blitz him. That does not work. He is the best quarterback in the league against the blitz. His rushing, again, has been really underrated, and he kind of rushed through the Jags whenever was needed. And yeah, he's just the best quarterback in the NFL, and he's just so hard to stop. And now he's got a shiny new toy with Tony. He looked a bit like a Madden player out there every time he touched the ball. He was like spinning. Yeah, Tony the Tiger. Yeah. So yeah, he looked brilliant. He was like hopping into the end zone. He was spinning around, doing juke move. Like he looks real twitchy, really explosive. So is that kind of, obviously not Tyreek Hill, but some of the qualities that he has. So it's something that you can use some of the Hill plays on because McCole Harbin sucks. You can just use Tony instead, and that'll be better for the team. And yeah, the Jags, they never look bad really, but the Chiefs made them look bad. And I mean, somebody must have pissed off Cisco on the Jags team though, because he was smashing everybody left, right, and center. Do you think like Andy Reid made a thong song joke before the game to Cisco?
as you do pre-match warm-ups,
yeah.
Yeah.
Bam. Yeah.
Like kill your players.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the thought of Andy Reid in the thong would piss anyone off, right? That's not that's not great for anybody.
When's Hannah back?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, sorry, Hannah. You probably had to hear that. But yeah, it was absolutely great. And the Jags missed a load of kicks. And right, here's a question for you. Why don't the Jags just go and try and trade, or bad teams just try and trade for like Justin Tucker? Like if you're a team and you're a bad team, why do these teams never take kickers really high? Because everyone's like, you need a quarterback, you need the offensive line, you need a quarterback. It's like, see if you have a good kicker, like that could win you some games.
So we spoke about this when you gave me that as a prediction. Will Justin Tucker miss a kick? And we were like, we were genuinely like, if you could draft Justin Tucker now, how high would you take him? Yeah, and it's just madness. It's just, now that you think about it, you would. You'd take a player like that really early.
Absolutely. So I think that's what the Jags are trying to do, is try and sort that kicker out. They're on the Lions. They're losing these games by so little. If they had a great kicker, they'd be sorted. So yeah, I think that's maybe an underrated side of the game, is having a really good kicker. But Paul, you had the game in Germany. You had the Bucks against the Seahawks. What do you reckon of that?
Oh, do you know what? It kind of felt a bit normal.
Yeah.
Does that make? I don't know.
Yeah,
it's difficult. It kind of felt like the Bucks were the Bucks again. I've watched the Bucks the last few weeks, and there's not been much going on, and it just. I was just watching. I couldn't watch too much of it. I was at a swimming competition with my kids, and so what I seen of it just, Brady looked. He looked like he was like, yeah, I've got this, and they were running the ball a lot more. They got Rashad White involved, and it looked like the Bucks that we know and we like to see. They looked like they had a bit more going for them than they have the last couple of weeks, if I'm honest. Can
we talk about Tom Brady lining up on a wide receiver, please? What was that? What was that?
Well, he just did it to say he had to go, okay?
Yeah, true.
He's done it now.
He had a shot, yeah.
He had an itch, and he needed to scratch that itch, okay? He had to go, and but mate, let's talk about Julio Jones.
Yeah,
his touchdown. He looked. I was like, wow, look at him go. He's flying across the pitch here, Who's this old, broken, decrepit wide receiver that's catching the ball? That's Julio Jones. No, surely not. Surely that's not Julio Jones, but
yeah.
Hey,
he looked all right.
Is it too little too late though?
Maybe. They might sneak into a wild a wild card spot. You never know. Yeah, it's an interesting one. And what I'll do, Paul, I'll actually talk about my next two quite quickly, and then I'll let you talk about the cards. So I had the Giants and the Texans. This game went exactly how I thought it was. Texans looked okay early, and then they faded in the second half, and they lost to big plays like they do every single week. And the other one I had was the Chargers and the 49ers, and it's the Chargers just seem unable to win a game like they do every single week. But by the way, the 49ers, Christian McCaffrey runs at you, or Deebo Samuel runs at you, or by the way, Elijah Mitchell is a really, really, really good running back. He's running at you as well. That is not fun for anybody. I remember I did a video a while ago saying where could Christian McCaffrey go? And I said he might go try and win a Super Bowl at places. I listed the 49ers as one of those places. Got abuse for it, Paul. Can you believe that? I mean, look at them now. They're in the hunt now with that team. They're looking really good. So, yeah, well done to the 49ers. And
really,
your Cards, yeah, they're playing well. I think they'll get in the playoffs. Yeah. Speaking of teams playing well, your Cardinals crushed the reigning Super Bowl champions in, a game where I think we realized, my only note for this was playing quarterback is hard, right?
So this was the shootout of Colt McCoy and John Wolford.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And you're just like, the Cardinals versus the Rams. I think these were first and second in the division last year. You know what I mean? And Super Bowl champions and the Cardinals and the division rivals and everything like this. Colt McCoy versus John Wolford.
I know. What's going on?
You know what I mean? And and somehow, the Cardinals put up 27 points with Colt McCoy. Who's that Kyler kid? You know what I mean? Colt McCoy's taking us all the way.
I mean, he's the most successful Colt in the league right now, right?
Yeah, definitely. And breaking news.
Oh,
the Arizona Cardinals have released Eno Benjamin.
Really?
Literally, as we are recording this, my phone is going mental down here because the Arizona Cardinals have released Eno Benjamin, and Zach Ertz has gone on IR, and apparently is done for the season.
I mean, they're both on my Scott Fishbowl team. That sucks.
Yeah, okay. Sorry. But the Rams, man.
Bad. This is what happens when you trade all your chips. And I'm sure that every Rams fan will be like, you know what? It's worth it. We'll suck for a bit. That's fine. We won the Super Bowl. But this is what happens. This is why teams don't go all in like the Rams did.
Cooper Kupp's going to miss time as well.
Yeah.
So I remember a conversation. I know I'm quite wary of the time and we need to crack on, but I'm just going to get into this quick. So I remember a conversation in, I think it was Rich's Patreon, and they were talking about how now that the Colts are kind of tanking, do you think that they fizzle out Jonathan Taylor and not use him as much,
Yeah.
Coming back off the injury, don't use him as much. Do you think that the Rams do that with Cooper Kupp? They're not going to win anything this year, And if he's going to miss some time, if he misses 2-3 weeks, do you think that they just go, do you know what? We'll give you 2 weeks, and if we lose the next 2 games, we'll just bang you an IR and shut you down for the season?
Maybe. I think Cooper Kupp would have something to say about that. He doesn't seem the kind of guy who's happy to sit.
To me, it's just not worth risking further injury or anything like that for somebody that potentially is not going to, for a team that aren't going to win anything, aren't going to make playoffs, aren't going to do anything.
Yeah. It would be probably a sensible move, but whether or not, Kupp will be happy doing that, or even Sean McVay doesn't seem the kind of guy that he's probably still determined to win everything, right? So whether that's the kind of makeup that team has, it's probably a smart decision, but whether or not they'll make that or not, I don't know. It's hard to tell with the Rams. They've not been great at all, and neither have one of the teams playing in Monday Night Football. That's the Commanders. They're playing against the undefeated Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, we both got the Eagles to win this, right? Surely.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, me too. I don't see anything happen there.
So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go and put a fiver on the Commanders to win.
That's a great idea.
I think out of all of our predictions over the Monday night, I think like 85% of them have been wrong. So
Really? Oh wow, it's a good job we're not scored on that. Actually,
we're not doing
checking.
Monday Night Football, but
Yeah, so yeah, you could put a fiver on the Commanders there. Why not? Let's see if they can beat that streak. And we'll move into our final little bit. We have to fire through these nice and quick. Topic 5. It's our Week 11 preview and predictions. So Paul, let's go to you first. You got the Jets against the Patriots. Who do you think is going to win, and what team is going to throw for more yards?
So I've seen Bill Belichick do this so many times, and he likes to shut down key players and everything like that. And he's really clever. And I know they're coming off the back of a win against the Bills, but I think I'm going to choose the Pats to win this. But I think that the Jets will have more passing yards.
Nice. Yeah. And you had one for Hannah. Hannah's obviously not here at the moment. So do you want to say what you had for her and what you think?
Oh yeah. Sorry, I thought you were going to do it then. So what I gave Hannah the Rams versus the Saints. I asked her who wins, and she says potentially no cup. The Rams are screwed. I'm taking a punt on the Saints, which, by the way, I love that. Yeah. And I've asked her if Aaron Donald is going to get over or under 0.5 sacks, and she's going for the over.
Nice. Yeah. So then Hannah asked me, she said, I've got the Bengals, her Bengals playing the Steelers. Who's going to win? And is TJ Watt going to get over or under 1.5 sacks? I've gone for the Bengals to win this. I know the Steelers just won, but I think the Bengals should come off that bye week and look pretty good. And I've gone for TJ Watt getting the under on the sacks, because I think if the Bengals are going to win this game, then they're going to have to protect Joe Burrow from TJ Watt. So if I pick one, I should probably pick the other. Paul, your second one this week is the Panthers against the Ravens. Who do you think is going to win? And who starts a quarterback for the Panthers now they've got PJ Walker, Baker Mayfield, and Sam Darnold all fit and healthy?
So this is a clash with my brothers. My little brother is a Panthers fan, and my older brother is a Ravens fan. Nice. Sorry, Sean, but the Ravens are going to win, and I believe PJ Walker is injured. I've heard that knocking about, but I'm going to go for Baker starts.
Baker starts. Hopefully, he puts a helmet on to headbutt people this time around, since he's been doing that. You see that video of Baker Mayfield headbutting people with his hat on, like the guys in the helmets? What is he doing? Anyway, and Hannah had one more for me, which was the Eagles.
Have we not got a second for Hannah?
Did we not get a second for Hannah?
No, we haven't got a second for Hannah.
Well, we'll fill that in retrospect. Then we'll text her later, and she'll fill it. The second one for me was the Eagles up against the Colts, and it was who's going to win, and is Matt Ryan going to go over or under 250 yards? I think the Eagles win, and I put Matt Ryan at the under 250 yards, and we'll fill in Hannah's second prediction after.
So Hannah's second prediction is going to be.
Oh, you got it.
No, I'm just going to come up with it now. And I'm going to give her the Bills versus the Browns. And she says the Browns. And I said, who's going to have more rushing yards, Singletary or Chubb? And she said Singletary. So I don't know. They may be both wrong, if I'm honest.
I think she actually went a draw and exactly the same for rushing yards.
Yeah. That's what she went. But no, we will text her, and we'll come up with one, and we will add it in.
Yeah, we'll send out a tweet for that. So with that brings us to the end of the show. Just thanks everyone for listening or watching once again. Make sure you're liking the video, setting out a subscribe on YouTube or on whatever podcast network you're on. Make sure you're following us at the Fantasy Wildcard YouTube, or not YouTube podcast, Fantasy Wildcard Podcast Studios on YouTube. And then, wherever you're listening to this, hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the follow, give us a review, all that good stuff. But we'll see you next week, guys, for week number 11. Pleasure as always. See ya.